Hello, today is July 20th and it is 6:13 p.m. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit of talking about Fur the Greedy Framer a little bit, and so then I'm going to continue on to talking about Janeb, and then we'll be dealing with her exaggerations after this video. So basically the thing that I had to talk about first of all is the fact that there is absolute there's an absolute excuse for me to be in any setting as a child where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me as a child. With that setting being bad, there is an absolute excuse for me due to the fact that it was my childhood was in poverty. My mother used to work in a fast food restaurant, and that she had already told law enforcement when I was an 11-year-old child that she was working in fast food restaurants. So she told law enforcement that when I was an 11-year-old child, and she also told law enforcement that she's not like that, and that she's never uttered one word considered bad her entire life, bad, racist, any way, shape, or form bad whatsoever. She told law enforcement that. She said it right when I was an 11-year-old child, and so basically, yeah. And so basically, so there is absolute excuse for me to be there in the first place, mainly because my mother had already spoken with law enforcement, and that she had already explained to law enforcement that, look, I understand that my child might be in a setting where anything remotely considered bad could be said around him, but you also have to understand the fact that I'm a poor, dependent single mother, and that I have to put him anywhere that would watch him for free. But this would only continue on till the moment that he would gain the slightest bit of mental maturity, after which I'm promising he will never be in any of those settings ever again, and nothing of that sort type nature ever again. It's to the point that, it doesn't matter what your background in life is. It only matters what your life becomes, especially when the background of my life is not my own parent, not my own mother being a bad person. Basically, my mother is a good person, and she's not a bad person. And so basically, yeah, she's never uttered one word considered bad her entire life. And so my background was kind of bad in terms of anyone saying even remotely considered bad around me. And that person would have been law enforcement's own BFFs, by the way, since 2001, since law enforcement's been running their sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-law since 2001. But it has to be known the fact that that was only temporarily daily, and only due to the forced necessity and poverty of a single mother, basically. And you also have to take into account the fact that there's nothing that could have been done at that time when I was a child, and my mother had to put me anywhere that would watch me for free at that time. So there's absolute excuse, and my mother had even made that excuse with law enforcement when I was an 11-year-old child. It's to the point that if I actually went back in time and I had to make another choice at that time, there was literally nothing I could do. Even if I went back in time, unless if my mother was working somewhere else except for a fast food restaurant and she could put me in some sort of a better daycare, that would have been a different story. But if we can't change our circumstances at that time, even if we went back in time, there's literally nothing else we could do. If we went to a different state and let's say we try to use other people that would watch me for free, they would probably not end up watching me for free. That's the thing. There's absolutely nothing that I could do if I would go back in time and I would become a child again, to get my mother to put me in a different place where nothing even remotely considered bad could be said around me. So there's absolute excuse for me as a child. It's not like I could have worked and earned money and given it to my mother and been like, use this money to put me in a daycare or something, There's literally nothing else I could have done. And that's what my mother had let law enforcement know, that when I was an 11-year-old child, letting them know that, hey, look, there's absolutely nothing I could do. This has to go on till my child is mentally mature enough to be left at home alone. And until that time, this is going to go on. My mother also let them know that she was not present in the setting where anything remotely considered bad could be said around me, which has been proven from facts and evidences, that she was never present in a setting where anything remotely considered bad could have been said around me ever. Never. And in fact, my mother never uttered one word considered bad her entire life, which is what facts and evidences will show. And after I gained a slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I was never seen in any setting where anything remotely considered bad was ever said around me ever again. It's to the point that, like, my mother loves everyone of every race, religion, ethnicity. There's not one instance of her ever uttering one word considered bad towards anyone ever. And after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I was never seen in any setting where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me ever. It's to the point that if I was roaming around with my mother at a mall and I would like a Jewish girl, I would tell her and she'd give me such a nice and lovely response that I would always be like, I always remember that. Like, her responses are always so sweet when it comes to people of different races, religions, and ethnicities. You know, I always say that it's how a person acts, like, when they know that no one's watching them, is really determines who they really are. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. But with my mother, she's been watched for more than 25 years along with me, and the only thing she ever had to say were the nicest things about people of other religions, races, and ethnicities. And after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity in life, I became like that as well. My dad, the Greedy Framer, on the other hand, you know what happened in 2011, where he was recruiting people to go out and mass murder innocent human beings, due to which law enforcement had to put a government informant in there. And the last day of the circus, I detailed, very explicit detail, exactly what the government informant was saying right next to him, where he was trying to interrupt and twisting my dad, the Greedy Framer's words, only to try to get him to change his words. And my dad, the Greedy Framer, was not changing his words at all. He was keep on going on and on with his words. He didn't change it, and he basically shut up the government informant only to continue his sermons to commit mass murder by joining terror groups and committing mass murder, and basically saying that jihad means that you have to go out and join terror groups and commit mass murder against innocent human beings. That has no excuses. That is a crime. That is punishable under law. That means that so many people have died and joined terror groups and done things of that certain nature, definitely had an effect in this world. Depending on how long he had been doing this, increases the probability and chances of more and more lives being ruined, more and more people being killed. That has no excuses. He was doing that as an adult, and that is considered a crime, regardless of how much far the Greedy Framer might try to exaggerate something that someone might have said around me as a child. It still would not make it a crime. What my dad, the Greedy Framer, was doing in 2011, that is a crime. It doesn't have any excuse. And so we know for a fact he was running a circus, due to the fact that after that day that government informant was sitting there, he was basically tipped off because the law enforcement did not wish to do any work. And that's how I knew that he was absolutely tipped off. You're running a circus, and one day the tents are gone, the circus animals are gone, there's no more noise there anymore. Something definitely happened. Either the man had a change of heart or he was tipped off. Obviously he was tipped off. Okay, Asad from the wedding incident was tipped off. So my dad, the Greedy Framer, he was definitely tipped off. And what ended up happening was, he was tipped off and he was told that, look, if you don't stop this right now, we're going to have to do an investigation and find out exactly how many people actually did join terror groups because of what you're doing. So if I were you, I'd stop it right now. And that's why he stopped it. Overnight, all the tents were gone, all the circus animals were gone, all the noise was gone, due to which I knew that my dad, the Greedy Framer, was absolutely tipped off. And which is why there was no point in reporting it. He was tipped off already by law enforcement, and I know how law enforcement is like, and I've been saying it since day one. When Asad showed up at the court, I told the courts right away, look, Asad committed crimes. He committed them with law enforcement. major crimes at weddings, and due to this, Assad is just as guilty as law enforcement is, and they didn't believe me at that time. Well, at the end of the day, when the dust settled, they saw for themselves exactly that the fact that I was telling the truth all along. And so basically, yeah, that is basically what happened. And now the thing about it is, it's just the fact that, there's no excuse for what my dad, the greedy framer, was doing. That was a crime that had consequences, and depending on how long he'd been doing this, increases the probability and chances of more and more people dying, more and more people being radicalized, more and more people joining terror groups, more and more lives being ruined. So that was a crime. What anyone could have said around me as a child, it's not a crime. No matter what anyone says or how much further the greedy framer tries to exaggerate it, it would still not could be a crime. No one's life is being ruined. No one's being given sermons and radicalized into joining terror groups. No one joins terror groups. No one's mass murdered. We don't have to even count how many people were joined in the sermons. We don't even have to count how many people could have probability-wise joined terror groups. We don't even have to count how many people could have been mass murdered. These things we don't even have to count due to the fact that this is irrelevant, since there's no harm being done, nothing being affected, no one's life being ruined. The thing that is the most dangerous and scary from the sermons that my dad, the greedy framer, was giving, he considered himself to be basically like the imam of all of Ireland. I'm not joking. And he says about himself that he says that I'm the head of the Tablighi Jamaat, which is like this thing in Ireland. And he basically considered himself like the head imam. The most dangerous thing about what my dad, the greedy framer, was doing in 2011, which, by the way, basically anyone can claim that. It reminds me of this documentary I saw as a child of a Mongolian guy claiming in the documentary that he was a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. And it's just like 1 in 11 people in Asia are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. There's nothing really special about that. Anyone can claim that they are the head of this Muslim center. Like, no one's gonna go and stop them. There's no, it's not like they're benefiting monetarily or anything of that sort of nature. So he basically claimed this about himself, that he was the head of the Tablighi Jamaat, only to try to get more attention from people and try to act like he was really spiritual or something like that. And that man claiming to be spiritual was on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. asking me if I was willing to commit incest with his sister, Farah the greedy framer, in exchange for illegal assurances of money, because on February 10th he was told by the courts that we've had enough of your lies because you fabricated November 20th, and that created mass panic and chaos in our news media. You've been making a fool of national security for your own envious ploy of trying to lock up my brain savant, only so that no one could get the money that you cannot get. And then the second set of lies he was told on February 10th that we know that these are lies as well. Your sister already confessed making November 20th that these were planned lies that you guys were all planning on making. So basically, my dad, the greedy framer, on February 11th at 3:17 a.m., he is basically asking me to commit incest with his sister, Farah the greedy framer, which we know for a fact was an open advertisement for incest, because he repeated it on March 7th, despite being told that it was an open advertisement for incest. He didn't care. He just wanted the illegal assurance of money so that my mother could not get it any way, shape, or form possible, even if he had to use his big, fat, ugly, old, fat sisters to try to sleep with me, commit incest with me in order to get that money. Not only do we know this due to the fact that he repeated it despite being told that you can't send someone, porn star's picture with sister's name on it, as open advertisement for incest, but also due to the fact that on March 10th and after March 10th, 2026, he sent me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling Afrin, his other big, fat, ugly old sister, on March 10th and every single day afterwards. So this man who is basically claiming to be at a place in a mosque in Ireland that, anyone can claim. You don't have to be anything. It doesn't have any monetary value, so no one's going to be like, no, I am the head of the Tablighi Jamaat. It's basically whoever thinks they're really like spiritual. But a person who's spiritual is not going to be selling his sisters just because his lies in court were all caught one after the other, November 20th, and then the next one set of ones were already confessed to the government informant before November 20th as being complete and total lies, due to which now he couldn't enviously lock up my brain savant. So on February 11th, he started trying to sell his sisters for sex in exchange for illegal assurances of money before my brain savant could get freed. On February 11th, 3:17 a.m., then March 7th, 3 times, and then March 10th, 2026, with his other sister starting every single day afterwards. Very disgusting individual, not someone that you would consider to be religious at all. So basically, yeah, this isn't... So my dad, the greedy framer, basically, yeah, he cannot be claiming this. This man, he was claiming that he's basically the head of the Tablighi Jamaat in Ireland, due to which he was giving sermons each and every single day to people by calling them over to his house in the masses and then giving them sermons. The most dangerous thing that you can check the facts and evidences from 2011, the most dangerous thing about this is the fact that the only person interrupting him in 2011 was the government informant. There was no one else interrupting him. That is the most dangerous thing. It's due to the fact that, it's just the fact that if no one is from the crowd is interrupting the imam, and the imam is saying that everyone should join terror groups and commit mass murder, then that means everyone in the sermon basically believes what he's saying. And if everyone in the audience believes what he's saying, then that's very dangerous, due to the fact that how many people are acting up on that, we don't know. How many people joined terror groups and probably went and joined them and came back, we don't know. How many people mass murdered other human beings, we don't know. There's no one interrupting. In 2011, look back at the facts and evidences yourself. It's all in there. It has to be there. It can't just something like that cannot disappear. From the audience in 2011, how many people actually interrupted him and stopped him and said, no, Mr. Ansari, what you're saying is wrong? How many people did that? Not one. Zero. None. It means that every single person in that, well, obviously the government informant was interrupting him. He didn't want to start an investigation. He was told by the government, we don't want to start an investigation. That's a different case. But from the audience, the government informant was sitting next to him on the sofa. This is the last day before the circus was closed down. You could check the details yourself. So the government informant is sitting right next to him on the sofa while he's giving the sermon. And everyone's sitting on the ground, okay? They're like, at least like 40, 50 people. And that he would call these people to his house every single day. And the thing about it is just the fact that there's not one person from the audience interrupting him. Not one person from the audience interrupting him the entire time. Check back on the facts and evidence. There's not one person in the audience interrupting him. In fact, they're sitting there very silently listening the entire time, which means what? They're agreeing with him. If they're sitting there silently and listening and not saying anything at all, and at the end of the night, when they hear him give his entire sermon, which every single day was the exact same thing, by the way, and all they do is shake his hand and leave his house, what does that mean? Every single one of those 50 people agreed everything they said. They were fully radicalized. So that's a very scary thought to be thinking of. 50 people sitting in his house every single night, fully radicalized. How many people join terror groups, go there, come back? We don't know anything about that. Okay, all we know is they definitely believe in it. Okay, how do we know they believe in it? They never interrupted a thing. The entire time, they never interrupted a thing. And that's what I found really weird. And if you look back at the facts and evidence, you'll find it yourself. The only person interrupting, and that was the last night, by the way, was the government informant. He wasn't the only person that was interrupting. And he was keep on saying, Mr. Ansar, I think they've changed the meaning of jihad a lot. It's not what it was supposed to be like. And this is him trying to twist his words. He likes the words, twisting my words, they're twisting my words. This was him trying to twist his words. He should have listened to him. He didn't. My dad, the greedy farmer, did not listen to him. He was getting all this attention from 50 people. He's not going to listen to him. He's like, no, wait, let me do this. And then he goes on about how, no, that's not right. A lot of people think that the meaning is different or that the meaning has been changed. That's not true. The meaning of jihad is this, and then he would say that it basically means that you have to join terror groups, basically, and that you have to mass murder people, and that you cannot just change things in the religion like that because of that's what you want it to be. And the government informant sitting next to him was basically shocked. Like, I cannot believe he just said that. And I was like, I was shocked myself. Like, I couldn't believe no one from the audience was interrupting, and no one from the audience was shocked. Meaning everyone from the audience, all the 40, 50 people that I was looking at, they were all fully radicalized. And every single night they would just shake his hand and just go back home. And the next day the circuit was on again. And so basically the last night they sent in a government informant. And so that last night, everything is on tape. Everything I can guarantee is on tape because the government informant was there. And after the government informant tried to twisting his words, he should have let that government informant twist his words, which he never did. And he interrupted the government informant. He was like, no. You can't just change things in the religion like that. What jihad basically means is, and he basically went on to say that it basically means that you have to join terror groups and commit mass murder and kill innocent human beings. And if you don't believe me, check back on the facts and evidences. There was a government informant present last night. And after that last night, obviously I knew he was tipped off because the entire circus was all gone. It wasn't there anymore. It was there no longer anymore, which meant that the tents were gone, the animals were gone, the noise was gone. It basically meant that, yeah, he was tipped off 100%. That's what law enforcement's always been doing till now. So basically that's a crime. It has no excuses. When I was a child sitting next to someone, one of law enforcement's own BFFs, better BFF than my dad, the greedy farmer, could ever be, by the way, that person saying anything bad around me would not be a crime because there's no one being affected, no one being radicalized, nothing being done, no harm being done, nothing of that sort of nature. They're just words. Whereas over here, these are actions. These are 50 people every single night that are fully radicalized. These people it's an extremely dangerous setting due to the fact that these people are not disagreeing. The only person that's disagreeing was one person sitting on the sofa next to him, and I know for a fact that was a government informant. And I know for a fact because he was the only person that was disagreeing, which meant that every single person agreed due to the fact that they quietly listened, shook his hand at the end of the night, and left home, which meant that they were fully radicalized by him. And he was the one doing this for attention because they think that he has some sort of a mystical powers. The man who has been trying to sell his sisters for sex on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. just so that my mother couldn't be the only one getting the Brain Savant money, that man is supposed to have mystical powers. That man who tried it again on March 7th, 2026, despite being told on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. that these are open advertisements for incest. He's still trying it 3 times on March 7, 2026. And then he tries it with his other sister on March 10, 2026. Every single day after March 10, 2026. This man is supposed to have some sort of mystical powers. Not just this. March 12th, he tries to get his sexual perversions made by asking me if I was willing to sleep with his ugly, old, disgusting-looking wife or not. And yeah. If you don't believe me, just ask law enforcement. You might be thinking, like, how do you know it's sexual perversions and not him trying to ask for money? Like, you haven't seen his wife. Like, if you did, you would know. Like, they literally cannot pay someone enough to be sleeping with this woman. Like, it has to be his sexual perversion. Like, you cannot pay someone enough for this. Like, seriously. So yeah, That's basically what it was. And they thought that he had some sort of a mystical powers or something. When in fact, he's all about money. He's a psychopath. He has some serious mental illness issues. The thing that Fur the Greedy Framer has to understand is the fact that one was a crime, the other wasn't. One had an excuse, the other didn't. My dad, the Greedy Framer, was committing crimes, major crimes, dangerous crimes, crimes that could lead for people to join terror groups and commit mass murders. There was no excuse. He was doing it every single night. The law enforcement went into a panic. They had to put in a government informant. Then they had to make one of two options of either tipping him off or starting an investigation. They ended up tipping him off because this was a very dangerous crime. How many people actually were going back and forth from terror groups? We don't know. How many people were mass murdering? We don't know. How many people have been murdered? We don't know. How many lives were in? We don't know. All we know is every single one of those 50 people in those sermons, every single night in 2011, before he had to be told to stop doing this, or else an investigation had to be triggered, every single one of those 50 people, I can guarantee, were fully radicalized by my dad, the Greedy Framer, and I know this for a fact because they never made one noise while listening to his psychotic sermons. It's something that my mother has never been heard uttering for more than 25 years that she's been watched. Never heard uttering one word considered bad or racist her entire life. She had an excuse for when I was a child being put in any setting that would watch me for free. In fact, if I was put back in that setting, rewind it and put me back in that age, there's no other option. She's working at a fast food restaurant. She's going to find free people that would watch me for free, and that would have to be law enforcement's BFF since 2001 that they've been running sex schemes with. There's no other option. You know, when you're a child, you can't choose your background. My background was great, by the way. My mother was an amazing human being. Where she put me as a child was not her choice and not mine either. But the fact of the matter is, it was fully excused and it was talked about with law enforcement. And from the moment that I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I was never present in any setting where anything even remotely considered bad was ever said around me, except for that one instance in 2011 where mass panic was created due to my dad, the Greedy Framer, for his attention-seeking behavior or whatever he was doing, which probably due to the fact that he's evil and he hates people of other religion. He's not like my mother. In fact, if I were to tell him that I was marrying someone of a different religion, he's not going to be happy for me. He's going to be extremely envious. So what he's going to start doing is he's going to try to find flaws in it. He'll be like, what religion are the kids going to be? Only because he's extremely envious. You know, you haven't gone through, you're talking about going on a bike trail to Alaska, and the envious person is always going to say, well, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do when you get out of the house and you feel thirsty? You know, something like that. You know, envious people always find flaws in everything. Basically, yeah. So that's what he would say. And the other thing about it is just the fact that there are records and instances of him where people would literally just message him and be like, Happy New Year. And he would call that person back, berate them over the phone and say that Happy New Year is a Christian holiday. Don't ever call and tell me this ever again. Only to stoke up hatred against other people of other religions. That's the kind of person that he is. So you can't expect a person like that to be saying that he's really friendly towards other people or other religions or things of that sort of nature. What someone shows when they know that they're being watched or they have to show their other persona is very different from what person is when they don't know that anyone's watching them, which is what my dad, the Greedy Framer, was in 2011, which is what he was when he was yelling at people and saying, don't ever use Christian holidays in front of me, things of that sort of nature. That's what he is, not what he pretends to be. What my mother is what you would ask law enforcement, and you would say, what is his mother like? You've been watching her for the past 25 years, more than that actually. What's his mother like? ever hear her say anything racist, bad, anything of that sort of nature. Ever, like, Hassan mentions, like, I'm gonna marry a girl who's Jewish or something, like, what does she say? You know, she'd have the most loveliest answer ever, to the point that I would always be like, man, if only I'd ask this where the other person could hear or something, you know? That's the kind of thing. This man is a psychopath, basically. All he wants is money locked up so that no one can get it, because he's not doing anything with his own life. He wants to make sure no one else gets it either. And when he feels like he sees that he's been caught lying too many times, then he starts to run after me very frantically, like a psychopath maniac, and asking me if I'm willing to sleep with his sisters or not. A big fat ugly old woman like Farrah the Grady Framer, or offering the Grady Framer a big fat ugly old woman just from the month of March. Okay, this March 2026, May 2nd, 2026, 12:48 p.m., he starts frantically calling me, mainly because he was caught lying again, and he was scared that the money is going to go to my mother. This man is a psychopath, is what he is. He has mental illness issues, and he's all about money. And yeah, and that's all that there is to it. The fact of the matter is, there was an excuse for when I was a child, and there was nothing I could do about it. If I went back in time right now, my mother, if she was working at fast food restaurants, which she would be, if we rewinded back, we had a time machine, we went back in time, if she was working at fast food restaurants again, she would put me anywhere that would watch me for free again. There's no question about it. But a fact of the matter is, this time machine, where the reality one, she had already gotten an excuse made with law enforcement, which is a good thing, when I was an 11-year-old child. And she kept her promise to them. You know, some things that we can't change. Me and my mother, we have certain backgrounds in terms of poverty or things of that sort of nature. We cannot change it for when I was a child, because backgrounds, you know, you cannot change. Certain things I could change. I could work hard in. I was studying pharmacy, and my mother was working at a Food Line grocery store. She couldn't give me that much money, so I had to tutor someone for food. And law enforcement's probably witness to the fact that when I used to tutor him for food, I just told him, look, I don't want money. I want food. I don't get any food. I need food. And so basically at one time he was just not sharing his food with me, and I stole it from his kitchen. And I told him when he got back, and he was like, shame on you for stealing my food. And I was just like, hey, look, if you want to get a college degree, you want to study, you're going to have to share your food with me. You have no other option, or else you're not going to get your college degree. It's up to you. You know, that sort of thing. I could improvise things. I could do things. If I really want to get a college degree, I'll do whatever is needed in order to get it, because I have other options I could do. I could work for money. I could work for food, but I'm not going to work for money when all I need is food. But fact of the matter is, you know, when I'm a child, there's nothing I could do. Wherever my mother leaves me, she leaves me. She doesn't have the money, she doesn't have the money. If someone says something around me, they say something around me. There's absolutely nothing I could do about it. I'm helpless, my mother's helpless, and there is an excuse. The people that are trying to say that there is no excuse, you know, they don't have any excuse for making a mockery of national security. When Farrah the Grady Framer made a mockery of national security, costed the government tons of money on a government informant, you know, there's no excuse for that. You know why she did that? It's very obvious. She did it because she found out about my brain savant being extremely rare. She advertised for it all year 2024, and then she finds out in 2025 that I'm going with someone else, and not her ugly looking abnormal daughter. So she's pissed off, like, he's not going to go with my daughter. He's not going with anyone else's daughter either. Same thing Miss Deb is basically doing. Yesterday she was advertising for her daughter again, who is, by the way, married and not divorced or separated, which means that Miss Deb has gone crazy as well. And law enforcement basically told people something very personal about me, which was my brain savant. Long before I told anyone, law enforcement told Miss Deb, who is a prime example of law enforcement doing this. She was told June 2023, not one instance of me told June 2023 telling a single soul about it. I'm not that stupid. You know, I have a lottery ticket. I haven't cashed it out. Why would I tell anyone? This is exactly what happens if you do. I would not be stupid enough to tell anyone. The only reason I know there is a brain scanner is due to the fact that law enforcement told everyone. August 25th, 2023, after I won my case, I told law enforcement plain and simple. I was like, I know you have a brain scanner. I know you know about my brain savant. I know everyone in the town knows as well. My neighbor knew it. She knew it. Go ask her. Who told you? She was told probably around June 2023, along with Miss Deb. Who told her? Not me. In fact, law enforcement probably told her as well. He didn't tell anyone. He doesn't know we know. So don't tell anyone we told you. Why? Because no one knows. Well, I don't know that they have a brain scanner, and they're not supposed to be going around telling people about this, because they're not supposed to be having a brain scanner. And if they have a brain scanner, then they can't go around telling everyone about it, because if I find out that everyone knows about something that's inside of my brain without me telling anyone about it, well, then obviously I'm not going to have to be a genius to know that there's a brain scanner. So then I knew there was a brain scanner. August 25th, 2023, I won my case, and I told law enforcement straight out. I was like, I have a brain savant. I'm a triple savant, and you have a brain scanner. I know you know, and I want to be able to study now. I said it plain and simple. I was like, I want to study now. I won my case August 25th, 2023. I want to study now. I'm a triple savant. I know you know because you have a brain scanner. Everyone in town knows. I would go to a Target store. Girls would stop in front of me and try to check to see if I was admiring their faces or not. The only problem with that was it was in the middle of the aisle. like you want to stop somewhere. Like there's this thing, like, you know, like you could tell, like I have a bed right over here. I'm looking up straight ahead, but I know there's a bed right over here, you know, like in the middle of the aisle, right in the middle of Target. Like the girl just stops right there, and it's just like, I know you could tell from your side that you just stopped in the middle of the aisle, right where they have the Xbox and the TV and the stand over here. You're standing right in the middle. You know, you're not retarded. There's nothing to look at in the middle of the aisle. There's nothing to look at. You just stopped in the middle of the aisle because you wanted me to see your face and see if I liked it or not. You know, it's that sort of thing. Yeah, like obviously these people, you know, like I didn't have to be a genius to know. So yeah, the girl right next door, she knew. They all knew about it before August 25th, 2023, and asked law enforcement how many people I told before August 25th, 2023. Absolutely zero. I'm not stupid. No one does that. If you have a lottery ticket, are you going to tell anyone about it before you cash it out? Obviously not. No one would. My brain savant's much better than a lottery ticket, by the way. But yeah, that is basically what happened. And Farah, the Greedy Framer, basically has no excuse for using national security and creating mass panic and chaos on November 20th just to make sure that my brain savant money that her daughter couldn't get, no one else's daughter could get either. And we know for a fact that this is what it's about. She sent me 51 confirmed forced marriage requests, which means that it's 52 total, but since it's from June 16th, it's 51 till today. She sent it today as well. 51 forced marriage requests. Basically, every single day I would say, can you please tell her I'm not interested? And the next day it would come back again. At least twice. Today it came twice. Forced marriage request, basically saying, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you have to marry my daughter. Like, this is not like something, this is not how marriage works. You can't just force someone to marry your daughter because you know about their brain savant. That's not how marriage works. She sent me at least 37 confirmed prenup marriage scamming blackmails. You know, this is really annoying. I haven't even smelled the money yet. I haven't even used my brain savant yet. And these people are told about it before I even used it. I've lived my entire life in poverty, and these people show up out of nowhere and they're just like, where's the money? And I'm just like, there is no money. I haven't even used my brain savant yet. Like, I just know about it because I used it like one time. Like, if I wanted to find out if I have calculation brain savant or not, I would have to ask law enforcement. Like, I would just be like, do I have calculation as a brain savant? Because I've only used it for photographic memory, innovation, and focusing. Um, Thankfully, I used it for 6 hours, due to which I know for a fact. But that's the thing. I haven't even used it yet. I've lived my entire life in poverty, and the thing about it is just the fact that these people are so selfish. Like, I haven't even gotten a single penny, and they're already here asking for money. Like, February 21st, Fur the Greedy Farmer sent me at least eight recorded blackmail price tags for $60 million. $60 million might seem like a really nice number on a calculator, but it's actually a lot of money. And I'm not paying anyone that kind of money. Are you kidding me? 60 cents, I wouldn't pay you that much. Everyone has their own responsibilities. Why would you even ask? Like, do you not have any shame? It's that sort of thing. Yeah. And now she's been sending me these requests for me to marry her daughter. It's all law enforcement's fault. She's got no excuse for making the following lies after November 20th, by the way. Use national security for her own personal agenda of locking up my brain savant. Again, has absolutely no right doing so. For the second time, that were already confessed lies to the government informant before even November 20th. Ibrahim the Greedy Farmer spokesperson's mother already told the government informant about that. And then third set of lies, starting April 2026, found from the phone conversations retrieved that every single statement made was a complete and total lie. Once again, and between the second and third set of lies were incest requests on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. for Fur the Greedy Farmer, then incest requests for Fur the Greedy Farmer again on March 7th, 2026. These people are shameless. I already told on February 11th that this is an incest request, still sending it on March 7th, 2026. Absolutely shameless, disgusting. And then March 10th, 2026, sending me an incest request for his big, fat, ugly old fart sister offering every single day of March 10th and every single day following it. And then early April, they realized he's not in the mood for giving any money. There is no money. Do I look like a millionaire to you? Why would you even ask for $60 million, And then they started fabricating more for false testimonies against me. At the end of the month of April, the courts are sick and tired of it because these people are abusing people in court just to make sure that no one talks against them, because it basically sounds like lies again. There are flaws in every statement, and every time a flawed statement is found, my dad would be like, twisting my words, and he would abuse everyone in court and yell at them, due to which the courts got sick and tired at the end of the day. They're just like, hey, you know what, we're going to have to retrieve phone conversations, because the statements look a little flawed. And I told the judge, I was like, Your Honor, you're going to find out that every single statement that this man, my dad, the Greedy Farmer, and his Farmer sisters made, all complete total lies, and that's exactly what happened. Every single statement from early April 2026 made aggressively while abusing everyone in court just to make sure that my brain savant money that he couldn't get, my mother couldn't get either, all lies. No excuse for using national security as a threat for your own personal agenda. And right now, law enforcement were extremely, extremely, extremely desperate to try to downplay my brain savant. They have been threatened to have the police call on them. Junaid had yesterday, July 19th. He's been threatened to have the police call on them today, July 20th. 2026. I showed you the video of my balcony outside. Like, you could just look outside and you could tell, like, definitely these people are so humiliated they can't pass by my road. Obviously, people around me are not going to be happy about me having a brain savant and all this attention now, are they? No, they're not going to be happy about it. People that are like cheering me on and helping me out are people basically in the government who feel bad for me, and they want and people mainly in the ultra rich that I'm really thankful for, basically because they like having people of other races have a chance to get ahead in life. And artificial intelligence has marked my brain savant as having the most highest chance. I have the highest probability of becoming extremely rich out of any other human being on this planet. And I'm not just saying that. You could read the artificial intelligence report and see for yourself. No other human being on this planet has innovation, focusing, and instantaneous photographic memory as a brain savant power that increases over time. Not one human being on this planet does. I have the highest percentage probability of becoming extremely rich on this planet. And that's really what all the fight is all about. And don't let him use his brain savant power, even though it has nothing to do with anything. Even serial killers in prisons are allowed to read in prison libraries. I haven't been allowed to read, stare into the textbook, even though I'm autistic. This is all I do from morning till night, ever since my brain savant evolved. From October 2019 till July 1st, 2023, this is literally all I did, from morning till night. This is my autistic natural habitat, and they don't let me do it anymore, only due to extreme envy and no other reason why. So they were getting threats. They were harassing these girls that were coming after me, basically. And the girls were basically threatening to call the police on them. So they got sick and tired of it. Like, we got to take his power out, as in my power out. And the way they were planning on doing so was by, they needed something that would say that he doesn't have a brain savant. So they basically got people from my overseas pharmacy school who have no clue about these tools. They don't know that my brain savant was locked the entire time. They don't know that I was forcefully used amnesia drugs on my last biochem exam, and that numerous other finals that I gave in pharmacy school, they used the same amnesia drugs used on me, so that I couldn't even remember how to spell my own name in the exam room. That's how much amnesia drugs they used on me. These people who have no clue about these tools are being asked to give false testimonies that they were caught fully fabricating against me on July 11th, just 9 days ago, that they were spoon-feeding each other and fabricating a false testimony against me, Adamji and Maruk. And basically, they had these people claim that I wasn't smart because they saw me canceling an exam or something like that. And basically, that's what that was literally the only option that they had. And so, obviously, they're going to go for people at my school to try to prove that I'm stupid. They're not going to go for anyone else. And they're not going to have that person tell the entire story behind why they think I'm stupid. It's just, they're not going to tell the person that we used amnesia drugs on him on the last biochem exam, due to which he had to cancel that exam. Obviously not. They're not going to tell that to the person, which makes their testimony false, because they're purposely not being given all the facts to their testimony. And because of this person who was caught 9 days ago fully fabricating the false testimony against me, Adamji and Maruk from my overseas pharmacy school, same group of people who fabricated the group chat false testimony against me that almost ruined my life, by the way, are the same people who were caught 9 days ago fully fabricating a false testimony against me with the same person in law enforcement who basically gets the money every single month that I've been telling the government to stop, since this is defrauded money from unemployment and disability, that if you don't turn this off and tell them to stop their bad habits, then they're going to start this again. And yeah, that's why he's been trying to run after me and harass me as well. Basically, yeah. And so, yeah. And so they were caught 9 days ago fully fabricating a false testimony against me, spoon-feeding each other things that they knew were lies. And it's irrelevant if I ever talk to this person or not. It's just like how mid-January they had a 10-year-old child claiming 25 years later that I said anti-government things to him. Fully false. It doesn't matter if I knew him in elementary school or not. It's irrelevant. And so basically, yeah, it's the same way these people, if I knew them in pharmacy school or not, it's irrelevant. If I ever talked to them or not, it's irrelevant. What's relevant is the fact that they tried to ruin my life with these lies that they were caught only 9 days ago, fully fabricating, only to try to make me look bad and degrade me. Well, anyways, due to their extreme envy, they told people that I wasn't that smart, and this and that, really bad things about me, basically to get revenge for July 10th. What happened on July 10th was these people's law enforcement's BFFs like Ibrahim the Greedy Framer and Junaid have these sexual perversions. They like standing in front and behind my car cameras to be able to run after these women that are coming for me, that obviously I would never go for anyways. Even if I wanted to go for them, I couldn't go for them because I'm being scammed by 3 people. Ibrahim asking me to marry his sister 2 days ago, Farah the Greedy Framer asking me to marry 2 of her daughters 2 days ago, and Miss Deb asking me to marry her married, not divorced or separated daughter every single day, including yesterday. So obviously, yeah. But these people were basically their sexual perversions, due to which they were getting rejected on July 10th. And not only that, there was also I called the Ibrahim the Greedy Framer spokesperson out for his drug use, and he gets sent to the emergency room every single week. So they were gonna get revenge for me on July 11th by making up false testimonies against me around the same thing that they were caught on for July 10th. And they were caught on July 11th, literally fabricating false testimony against me for whatever I called them out on July 10th, just to try to get revenge on me. And they were fabricating these false testimonies against me on July 11th for this reason. And so basically, yeah, that is mainly what happened. And so, yeah. And so they were caught making false testimonies against me on July 11th, 9 days ago. And yeah. And so that is what happened. And so they made me forget. Just give me 1 second.